If you can do basically nothing all day, yet still be completely fried by the evening, this one's for you. There are 3 things that you're probably doing all throughout the day that you don't even realize are overstimulating you. And overstimulation just puts more stress on the nervous system. Over time, these 3 things can wear you down without you really noticing. So I'm going to walk you through all 3 and why the fix for all of them is basically the same thing. Number 1, and this is not the first time I'm mentioning this on this channel, is scrolling. I'm talking doom scrolling. I'm talking picking up your phone anytime you feel uncomfortable. I think we all understand that doom scrolling for a bazillion hours a day is not good for us. But you also have to keep in mind the quick pickups, the times when you're standing in line or you're hitting a stoplight or you just are feeling uncomfortable, so you pick up your phone. It has become a bit of a pacifier for us. And then next thing you know, 30 minutes has passed and you're like, whoa, I really got sucked into this. The phone is really tricky because it feels like we're slowing down. It feels like we're resting. It feels like we're taking a break. It feels like we're checking out. But I always love to remind people of how much input we're getting when we're on our phone, especially with short form content. Your brain is getting so much information so quickly. It's technically experiencing the range of all human emotions in a matter of 6 swipes. 1 second it's someone's wedding, the next second someone's getting divorced, the next second someone had a baby, the next second someone's, something awful is happening in the news, and it's a brand new thing every 6 seconds. And it's happening so quickly that we don't even have time to register how on alert this is keeping our brain and therefore our nervous system. So when you begin to put in the work to put that phone down, you're going to feel more. You're going to feel more of your emotions. You're going to feel a bit more irritable. You may feel a bit more frustrated. You may feel a bit more sad, distracted, anxious. Who knows? Having this phone in our hands is becoming a bigger problem by the day. I don't think that we know the long-term effects quite yet, but I can't guess that they're good. And the other problem is that when you put the phone down, then you start to feel really wiped, and then you pick the phone back up again and you just start that cycle again. This is something that I'm still continuously working on. My phone became a very easy way for me to escape whatever I was feeling. And for many of us, it is a compulsive behavior. So whether you're doing researching, scrolling, doom scrolling, just picking it up every so often, it may be worth it to create some pockets throughout your day where there isn't any input coming from your phone. The next one is something similar in the way that it still includes technology, but it's background noise. I couldn't believe when I started talking about this more how many people related to it, that they always had information coming into their brain. They were always listening to a podcast or a YouTube video or something. There was something going on, an audiobook, something in their ears, something for them to watch. They can't brush their teeth without noise. And oftentimes it starts from the minute we wake up. I think for me, I was really uncomfortable with silence. I think that's very common for a lot of us. And I also just think that we're so used to being overstimulated. But something that I tried to do was realize that if I was listening to an audiobook, I wanted to be laying down. I didn't want to be cleaning. I didn't want to be on the go. I wanted to be able to absorb what it was that I was learning. Because at a certain point, I had to ask myself, is this for learning purposes or is this for numbing purposes? And that may be a question you want to ask yourself as well. Just remember that regardless of whether you're paying attention or not, your brain is. Your brain is trying to take in all that information and decide, is it dangerous? Is it safe? Do we need it? Do we not need it? Is it applicable? Is it not applicable? Even when we are just going about our day, washing our dishes and pounding information into our ears. Again, I encourage you to look for ways where you can find that peace in your day, find that sense of quiet. Realize that you're not missing out on anything by not needing information pouring into your brain at all times. Some people like to start practicing this in their car. I've had people who, rode their bike and they used to listen to something the entire time they were on their way to work, and they decided to just go and just let their brain have that space. In a world as noisy as the one that we live in right now, creating space and creating less stimulation is something we have to do on purpose. Otherwise, we hijack our brain. So try to take one bath without earbuds, one walk without an audiobook, and let it feel weird, because it probably will feel weird. For most of us, it's a very, very new experience. And last but not least is rushing. And the way rushing, when we don't need to rush, keeps our brain overstimulated. I think this one is the sneakiest because it doesn't feel like a habit. It feels just like the way that we move through the world. And I also think it's very socially accepted to just be running around like chickens with our heads cut off. And if you think about it, there are times when you need to rush. There are times when you are running late. There are times when you need to get to a place at a certain time. And then there are other times where you're just running around like a maniac for no reason. And I want you to remember your nervous system is always reading that. If the nervous system's job is to be like, are we safe or are we in danger? Ask yourself what message it's getting when we're running around like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I have to do this laundry so fast. I have to wash these dishes so fast. I have to clench my jaw and scrub this dish so fast. For what? Your body and your nervous system cannot tell the difference between like, I'm genuinely late for a flight And I'm just hurrying for no reason. I'm just hurrying because it's just the way that I move through the world. It's just reading the energy. It's reading the energy all day long. And sometimes this doesn't even look like external rushing. Sometimes it can just look like a really busy internal dialogue, rumination, just things moving really, really fast. This rush and this pressure and this energy to figure it out, to finish it, to get to the end of it. So pay attention in your life. Where is a place where you find yourself rushing unnecessarily? And how can you stop moving like the house is on fire, let your shoulders drop from your ears, and take a couple deep breaths while you engage in whatever you're doing without feeling like whatever you're doing is some type of emergency. Washing the dishes is rarely an emergency. Most things are not an emergency. So we have to start moving as if they are not an emergency instead of moving as though they are. Overstimulation is keeping your body and your nervous system in a state where it feels very fried. It feels very overactive, very hypervigilant, very busy. And if you don't want to live in that state anymore, as I said, you have to actively choose to live in a different way. Most of us aren't going to think of something like listening to a podcast as something that's overstimulating us. But when we are someone who can never be with any sense of quiet or peace, that's something for us to look at. At my worst times, I could look around and realize that I didn't have a moment of peace for myself all day long. I was stressing about something. I was trying to figure something out. I was on my phone all day. That becomes the new programming for our brain. It gets used to that level of intake and stimulation. So find a gap today or create a gap of space in your time today to stop the overstimulation, stop the scrolling, stop the input of audible information, and to stop rushing through everything that you're doing and let it feel a little uncomfortable. It will feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort passes the more we practice living in a new way. Out of those three, tell me in the comments which one you resonated with the most, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.